I think it's okay to ask your therapist if you can pick their brain for a minute about a specific scenario. I welcome it with my clients because we have this relationship where we're processing things.
Right.
And we're processing thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. And that's completely related to it. Now, if you call somebody up or you write somebody like me in a DM and say, hey, can I pick your brain?
No.
I'm going to send you a link to an invoice.
Welcome back to the podcast. I started this podcast as a way to help Black men in all aspects of our lives. Studies show on average we lose 2.8 years of our life when we're under heavy stress. And I think we can gain those 2.8 years back if we express ourselves healthily. Stick with me as I interview therapists, doctors, advocates, activists, and friends about how we can be better as Black men and as a Black community. If you're not subscribed to us on YouTube and following us on Instagram and TikTok, you'll definitely want to do that. Without further ado, let's get into the episode.
Man, we've been having a very interesting conversation, funny conversation. There's a lot of good energy going in here. We are here with Sunny. Sunny, you've been on the pod before. Did a virtual episode.
Yes.
But now we in person. Okay, so this is it's about to be lit. It's already lit, right? Sunny is a licensed therapist. That's not it. You also a professor at CUNY and NYU, and you got a whole slew. Listen, slew.
The real alphabet gang.
Yeah, you got a whole if we really sit here and start listing off the things, we be here all day.
Fundamentals of an overachiever.
No, you're not an overachiever. You are very, very educated. So you know a lot of different things. We could tap into a lot of different aspects. So I already know this is about to be a classic. One of the things that led to this episode is I was on Threads. I don't know if you remember.
I remember.
Okay, yeah. I was on Threads and I had made a post and I said, one of my biggest flaws is that I take things too personal. And I start moving off of all of these different assumptions once I start taking things personal, and it just messes things up for me. And then you were like, yo, I can tell you ain't read 4 Agreements. I said, 4 Agreements? What the hell are you talking about, son? I got the book. Did I get around to reading it yet? I ain't opened the pages yet.
All right, I'll give you a Cliff Note version.
Yes, please. Tell me what's up.
Okay, so Don Miguel Ruiz is the author of the book, and his premises is that we operate off of 4 premises or rules or foundations that we should in order to be ultimately successful in life. There's 4 of them. Be impeccable with your word. Don't take things personally. I can't remember the other 2. The other 2 right now.
Always do your best.
Always do your best. Yes. And what's the other one?
Don't make any assumptions.
Don't make any assumptions. And the personal, don't take things too personally, and the assumptions go hand in hand.
Of course.
And you see how you said, I take things personally and then I make these assumptions. So the way I interpreted it is that basically we all have our own stories, right? Our individual stories. And let's say you take those stories and you create a movie. Right? And now you create this movie and I go to see the movie. But in your movie, I see someone who looks like me, but I don't recognize the actions and the behaviors. It's because the way that you perceive me is not the way that I perceive myself. And so things that I'm doing or may do to you may not necessarily be intentional, but you receive them that way. And the moral of the story is that you should really focus on your own story because everyone has their own. And when you start to perceive their stuff as necessarily the truth, then you fall into this space with emotional poison. He references this term that it kind of permeates your thoughts, and now it makes you think negatively, and then you go down this rabbit hole with all of these assumptions about something that you felt was attacked to you, but it really wasn't.
Well, read me. Go ahead and read me, Sonny. I'm here damn.
But it's true. It's very hard to not personalize things. I think for the most part, because society gives us all of these information, like over the course of our years, we have all these downloads. We develop schema. So we attach a schema to every single word. And then because of that, whenever we interpret something, we interpret it based off of our lens and our schema. But it may not necessarily be that way. So sometimes it's good to kind of like reference something or cross-reference something with someone else, right? So that's when you, hey, let me run something by you real quick. Or even if you have a therapist, I think it's okay to ask your therapist if you can pick their brain for a minute about a specific scenario. I welcome it with my clients because we have this relationship where we're processing things.
Right.
And we're processing thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. And that's completely related to it. Now, if you call somebody up or you write somebody like me in a DM and say, hey, can I pick your brain?
No.
I'm going to send you a link to an invoice.
Hey, this is where you can pay first.
Exactly.
And then we can have those
It
conversations.
costs money to pick around here.
I love that. I love that.
I wanted you to really understand that is one of the things I used to personalize everything. And I think it comes from being a New Yorker. I think it also has to do a lot with culture. I was raised in an era where you trying to play me was like a real thing, right? And now I think it's okay if people are disrespectful because it's so socially accepted to be like disrespectful as a prank or disrespectful as a point of view or, for social media. But when I was growing up, if you were disrespectful to me, I immediately interpreted as you trying to play me and I got defensive because I personalized it. So that book really helped me to stop being on the defense so much.
I ain't gonna lie. That's one of the things I be in therapy talking to my therapist about. She's like, I'll start making all these assumptions and I'll start saying certain things and going off on the deep end about stuff. And she'll reel me back in. She'll be like, why is this bothering you so much? Can we identify some things that, have happened or some things that we know tend to bother you? What's happening right now? And I'll be like, I feel like they're attacking my character. And she'll be like, yep. And that's one of the things. I feel like when people make assumptions about me without knowing who I am as an individual, and they make assumptions that aren't true to who I actually am, it bothers the fuck out of me.
I'm the same way. I don't like to be misrepresented. I say that all the time. Don't misrepresent me. Because if someone says, well, you feel like you didn't get that confirmation from me. You are interpreting that and you're not confirming that with me. So if I'm in a situation where I feel like somebody may be misinterpreting my truth or who I am and misrepresenting me, I just start asking questions.
Really?
I just ask questions.
Like what?
Do you have a problem with me? Is there a problem that I'm not privy to that may be existing in your head that you haven't really worked through yet? Because a lot of times we have like, I don't want to generalize. I have whole scenarios in my head. And I might have a whole dialogue played out, but I haven't invited the other person to the conversation.
Ooh, tell me about that. Tell me about that.
I think a lot of people do this. I know people in my personal life who do this all the time. And I would say, would you like to finish the rest of the sentence? Or would you like to invite me to the part of the sentence that you left out before you started speaking?
That's really interesting.
Because we do that in our head. We have processing that goes on before
we say anything.
We verbalize the processing.
Yo. You know what that reminds me of? My therapist will ask me questions, right? And I'll always pause before I answer them. But that's because, what's interesting? I've already answered the question. I'm just thinking about whether or not I want to say the answer. Right? And what I realized and what we came to the understanding of in session is that when I have that gut reaction, that gut answer, that's like my subconscious already telling me what it is. And then sometimes because I don't like what the answer is, you want to change it. Reprocess. I'll do some post-processing. You know what I'm saying? And then before I say it, I'll say, I was kind of thinking this, but that don't really make sense. So this is what I think. And she's like, no.
Go with the first one.
What were you actually thinking? And I'll be like, and I'll say it. And me saying it, I don't like it, so that's why I didn't want to say it. And so there's a lot of times where it's like I've had to learn how to not lie to myself. And therapy has really taught me a lot about not lying to myself, because a lot of times we be lying.
Absolutely.
We be out here insecure, not feeling comfortable with ourselves, not feeling comfortable with the person, not really liking the person, all these, you know what I'm saying? All of these different things going on in our heads. And then on a conscious level, we will post-process and change that and try and reroute it to make it something else, because we don't feel comfortable with the actual truth.
Right. We want it to be more pleasing, more
Right.
accepting, more satisfying to us. Sometimes I just tell clients all the time, you have to start being comfortable with uncomfortable things. Uncomfortable truths about yourself, uncomfortable realizations about your childhood, uncomfortable feelings about you that live within you, or even about other people. And be uncomfortable with the process of change. I didn't say that you are supposed to come to therapy and be like gung-ho about changing. I expect you to be resistant. You've been like this your whole life. Now all of a sudden you're supposed to just change like that? It's going to take some time.
Right.
Just be okay with not being okay.
Speaking of that, this is a great segue. I'm so glad you said that. You made a post, and it's so I really think it's so interesting. We have to talk about it. You made a post that said, I feel like every adult over the age of 27 goes through an extended period of depressed mood. And we just have to start being honest about it and that kind of thing, so that we can seek out the help. Can you explain that? Because I feel like a lot of us aren't aware. Or we are aware, we don't try. We try not to, speak on it. So speak to what you mean by that. Yeah.
So the reason why I say that is because the brain is fully developed by that time. So there's a lot of transformations that occur in the brain up until full development, and that's basically someone that doesn't have any like cognitive impairments or limitations, right? So by that age, your frontal lobe is fully developed. Your reasoning skills are really developed. Whether they're honed is a different story, but the brain has developed and grown, right? So your ability to think about consequences and make decisions and have opinions is formed.
Right.
By that time, also, you've had several life transitions. You've gone from childhood, early adolescence, adulthood. So during those transitions, you should have had challenges.
Right.
And depending on how you've lived your life up until this point, your ability to cope with those challenges have either been very positive, negative, or somewhere in between. And if you haven't had any turmoil, which I do not think is true for any of us living at this point, then you would have had a depressed mood when you were navigating a challenge that was very difficult and or not positive and didn't warrant the result that you wanted.
Right.
So it could be a breakup. It could be an acceptance to a job or college or career or a move or anything. But I think by that point, because your brain is developed and because you've transitioned out of this space where you go from infancy to childhood, now you've already gotten to the adult stage, and now it's like, okay, well, I'm almost alive for 3 decades, 3 years. Most people, once they hit the age of 27, 28, 29, they start to think about their life from a different schema. Like, okay, what am I doing here now? I've been alive for a quarter of a century. And then that's when they start thinking about their finances, their options, their relationships, where they live, if they have transportation, if they have enough money to travel, what are their peers doing? So they're looking at themselves almost kind of like a double consciousness, right? You're looking at yourself within yourself, but then you're looking at yourself in comparison to your peers.
Oh.
And you may not like that. And it may warrant some sort of depressed mood. for an extended period of time. It may not be diagnosed clinical depression, but it's an extended depressed mood.
Yeah.
You've probably had some form of grief, even if it's not directly through you. It could be, complicated grief, or, prolonged grief, or even grief of a celebrity or something. So by that time, we've experienced so much, especially within our culture.
All right, I'm interrupting this podcast episode to let you guys know to leave a review on the podcast. Please, 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 if you are listening to this episode and you're finding value in this episode, you're enjoying the conversation, or you've enjoyed a previous episode or conversation, and it's safe to operate your phone right now, please leave us a review. Your review is a free and easy way to support us, and it helps us reach more people like you. We're on a mission to build a stronger, more connected Black community, starting with Black men. And you can help us on that mission by taking a minute out of your day to leave a review. Your review helps us generate more listeners, which in turn generates more revenue, allowing us to expand the platform even further. So please take a few seconds out of your day. I know you're busy. I understand. I know you're doing a lot, but it will help us greatly if you would just take a few seconds out of your day to leave a review right now. Did you leave a review yet? All right, let's get back to the episode.
Right. Can you, oh my God. First of all, you touched on so many different things. I'm trying to figure out where I want to hone in on. You just mentioned complicated grief. Can you explain the differences in those two?
So in a I guess an easier way, the complicated grief in my work, I feel like it comes when it is difficult for someone to process a death loss.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
I haven't really worked with someone who's had it outside of death loss.
Okay.
But it's usually like it's unexpected. And it's very hard to process and accept, right? There's about 5 stages of grief. There's a psychologist, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, and she outlined the 5 stages. And then there was a 6th stage, I think, that was added maybe afterwards. But the complicated grief, the cycles are not like linear. You can go back and forth. It's like anger, resentment, negotiation, things like that. And people who have complicated grief, they keep moving back and forth through the stages, and they don't arrive at like acceptance.
Ooh, okay.
So they stay in a space where it's hard for them. And I worked with someone once who they could not get past, if only this person didn't die.
And explain like what was that like for them?
So they would constantly think about their life and any challenges that they had, but they would always revert back to, if this person didn't die, it wouldn't have to be like that. And
I see.
the reason that was so it was so intriguing to me. It was because when I was younger, before I became a therapist, before I even wanted to go to school to study this, I had a totally different career. I went to therapy because my mom died when I was young. I saw my mom die when I was 7 years old. And for a very long time, I would always think in my head, oh, my life wouldn't be this way if my mom was alive.
Oh, so you directly related to that.
Right. And it didn't stop me from accepting it. But if there was a challenge, my first line of reasoning or rationale was like, if my mom was alive, I wouldn't be homeless and 17 years old and as a college student. I wouldn't have to deal with this.
Really?
And at that point, it was probably true.
True, yeah.
It could have been true. But working with my therapist, she helped me realize there's no way for me to know that could have been true, because my mom could have stayed alive, but then anything could have happened to her.
Right.
She could have gotten addicted to painkillers. She could have extreme PTSD and not work and been on disability. Anything could have happened.
Right.
Something positive or negative.
Right.
So there was no way for me to continue to use that as like my go-to for whatever challenge I was having. And it forced me to go inward and say, what can you do to solve this problem?
Man, we are getting... Listen, look, every time I do a podcast, before I do podcast episodes, I always ask God, I say, let your will be done, and I pray that I'm in alignment with your will. Now, we weren't going to go into complicated grief and all these different kind of things, but how can we not when you just
mentioned
broke,
it.
you know what I'm saying? You just broke all that down. So please, for the people, I don't want to leave people on the edge of their seats. I know there's somebody that can relate. For the people that are going through this right now, because I know there's somebody that has had a parent that has passed very early on, or maybe not passed, just not in their life for whatever reason, right? And they always go back to that. My life wouldn't be this way
Right.
if
my dad was here.
my dad was here, if my mom was here, or if they weren't this way. How do you begin to work through that? And I'm gonna push your mic just a little bit.
Okay.
Go ahead. Yeah. How do you begin to work through that?
I would definitely tell, if it was a client, I would have them make a list of pros and cons about their life. And then make a separate list of pros and cons about the person. First, I would encourage them to really look at the list about the person and the qualities and the skill sets. A lot of times, we have expectations of people without confirming that they can deliver what it is that we expect of them.
Good Lord.
So there are plenty of people who grew up with their parents and their parents did not prepare them for things that other parents may have because they didn't have that capability. So I think oftentimes when people hold on to that as their rationale and their logic, it's because they're assuming that that person had those skills. And I don't think that that's always true. I don't think that every parent had the ability to teach us financial literacy and teach us about divine femininity and divine masculinity and to teach us about how to connect to spirit, source, faith, or God. I don't think every parent has those things.
It's actually hard to have all of that.
I don't think so, especially if they were a younger parent.
Right.
Most parents were raising their children while they were raising themselves.
Ooh, man, you speaking facts. One of the things you said just now that really had me thinking was we have expectations for people without truly knowing if they can meet those expectations.
And we don't even communicate them to the person.
My God.
So I have these expectations of you. I'm holding you to them. And I never once invited you to the party in my head where I developed this list of expectations. And then as soon as you don't meet them, I'm ready to cancel you and cross you off and block you and call you the worst person in the world, the baddest friend, the worst boyfriend, the horriblest girlfriend in the world. And I never once verbalized to you, this is what I need. I would like this from you. Are you able to give it to me?
You know why I feel like it's hard for us as men to do that? Because I feel like a lot of times, one, we don't even really be knowing what our expectations are. Because a lot of times as men, we're socialized to not even have expectations. Don't have expectations for anybody, bro. You're supposed to come in, provide, and do everything, and your girl's just supposed to be there and look good, right? If we're talking about a heterosexual relationship.
Very
right?
machismo oriented.
Yeah, right. And it's like, bro, no, you're a human being. You have emotional needs.
Everybody should.
Everybody has expectations. So you have to get in tune with those. And then the other blocker is, once I get in tune with what my expectations are, am I comfortable being vulnerable enough to
share them?
To share them without feeling like something's wrong with me for even having them in the first place.
But that's the part. That's the harder part.
Right.
I think first so this is what I'll say, because I'm starting to work with a lot more men and I really like it. I do. I actually want to change the practice over to like be only focused on men.
We can talk offline.
I don't,
to have a couple conversations.
All my female clients are going to be so angry, but I think that's coming. But what I've learned is that men need to be still more.
Explain that. What you mean by that?
They need to sit still. Sit down. Stop moving and just be still with your thoughts. Don't go outside on a Friday night. Sit down with the book, meaning a journal, and just freestyle. I call it Freestyle Friday. I give clients homework. You got Freestyle Friday homework for next week. I want to see what you wrote. I don't care if you sit outside by the water, if you are in your house, wherever. Sit with your thoughts and learn to be comfortable with yourself. Because I think that most times men are moving so much that they have 11 tabs open in their head. And they don't have enough time to sit and process anything. They're going from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. They're not processing any of their thoughts or their emotions, so they're not thinking about their behaviors and how they're all interrelated. I think if they sat still more, then they would be able to be more mindful about what they need and who they are. Then they could accept that, and then they could feel comfortable identifying. I need my girlfriend to be on me, right?
I need that. I ain't gonna lie. That's one thing I
listen,
need. Be on me.
My man says, I need you to sweat me a little bit sometimes.
Sweat me all the time. All the time.
And I'll be like, all right, I got you. So I think that if men sit still more, they would be able to have the mental clarity to start to process some of the thoughts and the emotions that they have that therefore influence their behaviors. Then they could say, okay, this is what I need. I need my woman to do this for me. I need her to do this. This is what I need. This isn't negotiable, but these are my non-negotiables. And then if you really think about it and you think about the context of your relationship, does your woman make you feel safe enough to share that with her? Now, maybe a man is not going to want to have that thought process, because then it might point out that his woman is not providing a safe space for him. And maybe that's not the right fit, because we know we have people who date who looks good and who's not good for them.
Woo! Listen, man. When you're thinking with that second head or third head or whatever head it is, it ain't the first one.
It's not. I say all the time, don't pick who looks good to you. Pick who's good for you. But a lot of men, until some major catastrophic trauma occurs, they don't change from that schema, because machismo teaches them, I gotta have a woman who looks physically this way. And maybe that's not the best woman for you.
Whew. Listen, I had a whole script. I don't even care about the script anymore. I'm gonna keep it a sack with you, Sonny. We gonna keep going down this. I love this conversation. This conversation is hitting right now. I ain't gonna lie to you. There's a lot of men that got some needs that they are not fully tapped into, and that's why they're running into all these brick walls when it comes to dating.
They're unaddressed issues that really kind of like influence the needs. I always say 9 times out of 10, the first person who broke your man's heart was his mother. And the first person who broke your woman's heart was her father. And you need to talk to them about that. Sometimes it's both parents. So sometimes if the man has not had a very healthy or loving and positive relationship with his mother, he could be on either end of a spectrum, where he's seeking out a woman who's a nurturer and gives him what he didn't have growing up. Or he could be seeking out somebody who doesn't have any nurturing skills and they're not meeting any of his needs at all. And he has to be able to sit with himself and say, hey, what's going on? Why do I like this woman so much? Like, there are men who think that
She got a big booty?
yeah, and because she'll fight for me.
What
She'll
does that even mean?
So this is something that's come up a lot in some of my sessions.
Really?
This concept that men have to test women, and they have to put them through these tests to determine that they're eligible and worthy of their commitment in a relationship.
Explain.
So the test could be anything. It could be minute tests. Like I've had my own experiences with this.
Really?
They could be little things to see if you share, if you're stingy, if you're accepting of their kids, if you're open, flexible, or it could be if you're tolerant of disrespect, if you're tolerant of infidelity, and how do you respond to it? I used to have a client that would not leave his girlfriend because she totally tolerated him cheating. And the way that she did it was to attack every woman that he cheated with. She would call them, she would find them, she would fight them, and that to him proved that she loved him and that she was the one for him. And I said, so you don't think there's anything wrong with this? And when I did more exploration with him, I realized that he grew up with a very antagonistic, aggressive mother. So the mother always yelled, screamed, fought, hit, yelled. So the woman was basically mimicking the same behaviors that his mom had. But I said, but do you understand what the difference is? He's like, what? I said, you're provoking her. So do you need somebody to be aggressive? And if so, why do you have to provoke them? And why do you need aggressive love?
That's what he's used to.
Is that what you need? The same things that you had growing up and the skills that you developed to survive your childhood for coping are not necessarily the ones that you need to take with you at this big grown adult age. Let it go.
You speaking some facts right now. I ain't gonna lie to you. But you know what it is? A lot of people aren't conscious enough to understand. They're not aware enough to understand that that's what's going on. And that's where the sitting still is very important. One of the things you said that I wanted to touch on, where you said you said we have 11 tabs open.
That's my favorite number.
Nah, I ain't gonna lie.
That is my favorite number.
I ain't gonna lie. A lot of us men, we do have so many things going on at the same time. I posted a reel where I was talking about work stress can take a toll on your relationship.
Absolutely.
It did a lot. It did numbers on social media. I had a lot of people. Basically in the reel, I was talking about how, I had one day where I had there was so much going on. I hadn't done anything for myself the whole day. And towards the end of the day.
I saw that, and you didn't eat lunch.
I didn't.
And you were going to skip lunch.
No. This is different. It was at the end of the day, right? This day I had ate lunch, but probably a quick lunch or something like that. But at the end of the day, I'm finally getting the time to wind down. You feel what I'm saying? And I'm going to get pizza, right? So I go to get pizza. I'm getting my time to actually this is where I'm actually getting time to sit still because this is the only time I've gotten. And then my girl called, right? And I'm like, fuck no. So I hang up the phone. I'm listening to my music. I'm trying to chill. I'm trying to woosah. She called back again. And because I didn't have a chance to process everything, I'm on the phone and I'm mad at her. And that led to an argument between us because I didn't have a chance to process everything I'm going through. And so I'm mentioning this to say, a lot of the times us not processing and just trying to go through and accomplish task after task after task after task after task is not helping. You know what I'm saying? It's just us surviving another day, but not actually living and growing and healing because we're not taking the time to really process what's going on. And so one of the things that I've been doing is I sit in quiet. And in the morning, I take my morning time. I've been waking up earlier. I take my time to myself in the morning. I'll do my meditation. I'll pray. I'll read the Bible. I've been reading the Bible more because I'm trying to get closer to God and understand what it is that God is calling me to do. And I'm taking that time to myself. And even on the way here, normally I listen to music and stuff. I didn't listen to a single song. You know what I'm saying? I drove an hour and some change. Normally I'm like, oh yeah, I can't wait. I'm listening to the Gunna album. You feel me? I put the Drake on. You know what I'm saying? I got some Afro beat. I'm about to drop. Oh man, I can't wait for that car ride. I'm about to throw all this music on. It's about to be lit. This car ride. Silence. The whole ride, silence. And I realized how anxious I was. I'm like, damn, I might not get there on time. Okay, I got to talk about this. I got to mention this. I got to say this. I had to meditate. I had to breathe so many different times throughout my car ride. You know what I'm saying? I'm just not realizing these are things that I'm actually just because I don't acknowledge it doesn't mean that it's not going on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So when I actually sit in silence, it gives me time to acknowledge it so I can deal with it. But if I don't sit in that silence, I'm not able to acknowledge it. You get what I'm saying? And so I think that's so important. That's why I wanted to highlight that because we really have to do a better job.
Y'all just need to go in the bathroom.
What you mean?
Just go in the bathroom.
And do what?
Sit in silence in the bathroom. Don't go on the phone, though. Don't watch reels of sports clips. Don't go on group chat. Okay? Just go in the bathroom and sit in the bathroom. Women have been doing this for years. Mothers do it all the time. It's their escape room. Y'all can use it too. We'll share it with y'all.
Okay.
If you don't have a man cave, just go in the bathroom.
I like that. I like that.
Run the shower and sit on the toilet and just sit still.
And chill.
Turn the light off. If you really want to get zen with it, put on some binaural beats above 538 megahertz and sit in there. Prayer is when you talk to God and you ask him for things. Meditation is when you sit still so that God could talk back to you.
You know, I'm so glad you said that, Sonny. You know why I'm so glad you said that? Because I feel like a lot of us don't feel like God talks to us. But he yo.
Oh, he yells at me.
Yo, bro. Sometimes I ask God something, and then like the next 2 minutes, I get a response. And it may not always be like, it's not God, like a voice coming. Like I'll go on Instagram, I'll see a reel and it's speaking exactly to my situation. Or I'll sit down and I decide to open the Bible and just a random verse that I decide to open up speaks exactly to my situation. Like the other day I was in the shower, I was thinking, man, maybe I should read the Bible more. I don't know, I'm gonna chill. I went on Instagram, somebody was like, you're not in your Bible enough. I said, you know what?
Could you get out of my head for 200?
Said, all right, God. What scripture you want me to read today? Because obviously, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I didn't say anything out loud, you know, it was just me just thinking it in my, bro. So God does speak to you, but if you don't take the time to sit and listen, you'll never hear him.
I also think that situations are designed or curated to you because God is speaking to you. So you may pray for patience, but you're not going to get patience. You're going to get, in my case, a student who is going to test my patience. And I have to show up and say, hey, how do you want to respond to this? Do you want to react, which is going to be impulsive and innate and not necessarily always kind and empathic? Or do you want to respond where you process it and you think about what is the best way to address the student but not let my boundaries be crossed?
You're speaking facts right now. Oh my gosh. I've been going through a very difficult time personally. Business-wise, things are going very well. Personally, things are just not lining up right now. I'm just like, what's going on, God? Like, what's up, bro? You know what I'm saying? What am I doing? And then I'll get into that phase. I'm like, God, why is this happening? I start questioning. And this time I've done a better job of not questioning, but just trying to seek the answers without necessarily questioning. And so what I mean by that is like, I realized in this period, I feel like God is calling me to get closer to him. And the only way that he could do that was through the trials of my personal life.
Making challenges.
Yeah, because if things didn't get challenging for me,
then you wouldn't have any.
I'm not picking up the Bible.
It's a test of your faith.
You feel me? Exactly. If things didn't get challenging for me, I was not reading the Bible in the morning. For what? Things going smooth. Right. I'm chilling. I don't need to pick the Bible up. For what? I'm praying to you. I give you a 15-minute prayer before I go to the gym. We straight. We good to go. But I feel like God's like, nah, bro, it ain't enough. And one of the things I saw also on social media, somebody was talking about delay is preparation for what's to come. Mm-hmm. And I feel like there's certain things that I want to happen in my life right now personally, and they're technically being delayed. And I think in this period, God is really using this period to prepare me for what's to come. And if I don't take advantage of this time, then I won't be prepared. You get what I'm saying?
I totally agree with you.
Man, I read
that resonates with me.
No, I'm telling you, I read some scripture. I don't know if it was today or yesterday. And I ain't gonna tell you, I'm not a pastor, so I have a song for
you. It's called Stand on the Lord, Stand on the Word. I'm gonna send it to you.
Okay, please. Yeah.
But it says just that, like, don't question God, just stand on his word.
Yeah. There was some scripture that I read that was like, when you're going through trials, that is a test of your perseverance. Mm-hmm. And you need to be able to build up your perseverance for where God is taking you. And so you need to have faith in him, right? And that when you're going through trials, that God is light. And if you're going through a trial, you'll get through it. Yes, you're going through a dark period in your life, whatever the case may be. The answer is not to turn your back from God who's light.
Right. You
Right. And I
go
was like,
deeper
you
towards.
you walk towards God. And so all of these different things that I was reading that have had really been speaking to my situation. And it's really just random script. Like, I'm not on any like plan or devotion, like none of that. I'm just like random scripture every day, just trying and everyone is like hitting. So I'm realizing like, yo, this was like, I really needed to go through this time. And although in the beginning I was upset, as I've gone through it, I've started to realize, okay, I see why you've done this, right? And I don't think we all, like, for me specifically, I'll speak for myself. A lot of times when I start going through stuff, I get so annoyed. I'm like, bruh, why right now? I got everything set up the way I want to get it set up. Why are you messing with stuff right now, Big G? Like, what's up? What we doing?
It's not just you. I think, and I try to be mindful of my own perspective when I work with clients, but I do tell my clients that I think people in general erroneously believe that life doesn't have adversity. I, on the contrary, expect adversity because I know that if I have adversity, then I have the ability to overcome it. I think that is just my mindset because I've had a very tumultuous and traumatic childhood. Even though I had a great childhood because I have amazing mothers, like a godmother and a stepmother who helped to raise me, I still always experienced adversity. So I don't know life without adversity, but I welcome it. Like, because I know what's on the other side of it. So just like I have adversity, I have the accomplishments. So for me, I always see, oh, this is what I'm going to attain when I get this accomplishment. And I don't really focus too much on the adversity. I already know it's coming. So it's not, I feel like I stay in this space where I live in a world of optimal gratitude. Every day I'm giving thanks in the morning. Like, if y'all saw me driving to work, y'all would be like, what is she? Is she having a seance in the car? Because it goes from like Christian gospel music to like Yoruba song. Like, it's a sequence, but it's literally, I'm literally give thanks. I'm saying my prayers. I'm giving my acknowledgement. Like, and I'm protecting myself. I'm building an aura around myself before I even enter the venue, before I have any contact with anybody. But I expect adversity because I know what's on the other side. So then when adversity happens, it doesn't throw me off my square. I could still sit on my throne and I don't have to like lower my standards.
You speaking, I read some scripture that was speaking about adversity and saying that we should welcome it and be thankful for it because it's a test of our faith.
If you don't have any challenges in your life, you're not moving.
That's true. That's very true.
If you don't have any problems in your business, you're not scaling.
Damn. That's very true.
So I know it's supposed to be a challenge. I know it's coming because my ass is not sitting still. I move. I am like probably the most goal-oriented person that I know.
Yo.
So I know there's going to be a challenge. I don't expect anything to go smoothly for the most part, but I do expect to be blessed and I expect my abundance because I have faith. So I don't think that, oh, I'm going to go, like, let's say I'm going to go register for these classes. Oh, the class is closed. Okay, but I have favor, so I'm going to just go call somebody and get over tally. So I think what you said about going through a rough time, honestly, I'm so happy that you said that, and I'm grateful that you were vulnerable enough to share that because I think everybody is going through a rough time right now. I do not think that everybody is as seamlessly navigating life as their Instagram and TikToks post that they are. I think they're all lying. I honestly feel like there's spiritual warfare going on.
Oh, of course.
And I think everybody is up for grabs and under attack. And I think right now people are using different things to distract themselves. And this is the time where you can really cultivate your strength. If you tap into it. This is the time. We have never been, as a society and even as a people of like indigenous African descent, we have never been this vulnerable about our mental health challenges, mental illness, our mental health needs and symptoms, ever. I mean, even historically, even when there was like segregation,
Right.
people weren't talking about being depressed because of Jim Crow,
Right.
but they were.
Of course.
So we're in a space now where we have the ability to be open about our experiences. We can communicate with one another. We can congregate. We can come together. I don't think we should be trauma bonding, but that's another topic. But I think we can really engage in that way. But we're not embracing it. We're still lying.
Right.
We're still lying. Like, I want to do this TikTok and I want to post because, I went to this brunch with my girls and I went to the Giants game. And then when you go home, you're crying. And this is what I also say. By the time you're 30, if you tell me that you never had a moment in life where you had to cry that at night in your bed by yourself or even with your back to somebody where you had the tears but the sound couldn't come out, then you're not being honest. Because by the time age 30 happens, if you're a black person and you're living in this country, you had one of them moments. I don't believe people who say that they didn't have any of those experiences.
But you know what it is too, though. A lot of men don't know how to cry. A lot of men don't know how to cry. Like that's real. That's a real thing. Like a lot of men, when I talk about crying, sometimes on the platform, they'll be like, "I can't get the tears out," and I'll be like, one of the things I tell men is, one of the things I used to do is I'll put on a movie. One of the movies where I can relate to the character, I can relate to the plot, and then I'll just engulf myself in it. And it's hard to do that for someone that doesn't know how to empathize. Right? So you have to at least be at that stage where you can empathize and not just empathize with real people, but empathize with like characters and stories and movies and all that kind of stuff. And when I start to get to that place where I'm like really empathizing with that character and their struggle, it can bring me back to mine and then I can cry.
Right.
And I can release. So that's one of the things I kind of do to kind of like hack.
That's a great hack.
Yeah, that's one of the things I kind of do to hack crying when I need to get some tears out is I will watch something that I can relate to or try to empathize with a character in a movie where they're going through a difficult time. And that's also one of the reasons why I don't watch a lot of black movies because a lot of black movies have a lot of trauma, and I'm not trying to be. It's trauma porn. I'm not trying to be crying all day.
I don't think that. I think we in general just need to be more mindful about what we consume. And when I say consume, I'm not just talking about what we eat and drink. I'm talking about what we take in with our eyes and what we listen to.
Right.
We have to be extremely mindful about that. There's so much trauma porn. It's so overwhelming.
Right.
And it's like we have other things that we can see, positive images, even jovial movies you can watch, as opposed to watching things that are very traumatic. Like you have to be mindful of that. Like we literally have grown up in many of us in an era where we're constantly seeing images of the destruction of black bodies over and over. Before pandemic, we saw people being killed that looked like us on TV all the time, like every month. That does something to our psyche.
That's a lot of trauma.
And then you have to compartmentalize that. If you see somebody that looks like you getting shot in the back, you can't keep crying all the time.
Right.
So then you block that off. So one of the things that I do with clients is Reiki, which is a form of healing, energy healing, because it's aligned with like your chakras. And sometimes people have heart chakra blockages.
Explain that.
So like your chakras are energy centers in your body, right? The real term, and I have to be very transparent, is Arithu, which is from ancient Kemet, right? But in Asian, as Reiki grew popular, it was adapted by like Asian culture. So they're known as chakras. We have many of them, but I think there's 7 primary ones. And your heart chakra is the energy point for your heart, the center. And a lot of people have hardened hearts because they've had to survive and cope with trauma, death, loss, abuse, neglect, all of those things. So because of that, there needs to be healing that occurs there, but it's like a body healing. It's body work. So you ever hear of like somatic healing, which is not just body massage, but also through the energy points where you're breaking up like calcified states in your pineal gland and in your heart.
I've never heard of that before.
Mind and body, they go together. They cannot be separated.
There's a book on that, right?
There's plenty of books. I'll give you a list. I have a book for you anyway. I left it in the car, but I'll mail it to you.
Okay.
But it's very important for us to understand that our body is directly connected to our mind. They go together. And a lot of times we've separated them because we're surviving and we're operating in a survival mode. And if we really want to focus on growing and evolving emotionally and healing, we have to tap back into our bodies. Men need to take baths.
Baths? Why?
So outside of our body being over 80% fluid, water, right? We need to submerge ourselves. Water is healing. It's cleansing, but it's also replenishing. Many of us are indigenous African descent. So we come from spaces where we were naturally prone to and connected to water. Industrialized society has us taking these showers. But for many of us, when we grew up, how did we bathe?
In the sink or like in the tub?
In the tub.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Water has a healing essence. So being in the water will extract toxins from your body. You need that. When we don't soak, we don't pull things out. And when we soak, we need to soak up to here because this is where our throat chakra is. And a lot of us have problems communicating. So we need to have water to be up here. Men can take spiritual baths. They can take herbal baths.
Shit, I might need to give me a tub.
If you can't take a bath in your house, do what I tell my clients. Get an Airbnb, go on Hotel Tonight on one of them other places. Stay in a hotel room overnight. Take a bath. And have some downtime. That's a perfect way to connect with yourself and be still.
So let me ask some more questions because I know the fellas are like, okay, I might be interested in this. I just run the water. It's warm. Do I got to put anything in it?
You can. That's a great question. So here's what I would do. I would put essential oil, lavender.
Okay.
Because lavender is for calming and soothing, right? Make sure it's essential oils now. So let me be very specific because I know when you give men directions and instructions to do things that are outside of their scope, you have to be precise.
Yes.
So brothers, when we buy essential oils, they have to come in a glass amber jar, like or a little container, right? They need to be amber and glass, no plastic. If it's not plastic, it's not real. Because pure essential oil cannot survive in plastic and remain pure. It has to be in glass. It has to be amber colored so that the sun doesn't come in and tamper the qualities of the essential essence. Make sure it says therapeutic grade. That means it's totally good for anything, whether it was consumption or for topical. So you're going to get therapeutic grade essential oil, lavender. You can do maybe 3 drops of that. You can do maybe frankincense and myrrh, which is really good for cleansing and restoring balance. You could put bubble baths if you want. I mean, a lot of people, I have clients who use bath bombs. I really just, I grew up with Dawn dish soap in my bath growing up. That's how I grew up taking a bath, with dish soap.
Damn.
Now, that wasn't good, so we're not going to do that anymore, right? Our parents just did the best that they could with what they had, so I don't blame my parents for not knowing any better.
Right.
I would say one thing that you can get is some Himalayan sea salt, pink Himalayan salt.
I was going to ask you about that, yeah.
Magnesium is very good for your body, for your joints. So that would be good to put in there. And if you wanted bubbles, put bubbles. Make it warm. I know men don't like extremely hot water.
No, we don't.
So make it warm. Like, don't put your toe, put your elbow, okay? For my brothers who are parents, y'all know why we put our elbow. It's more sensitive.
Oh,
so
really?
like when you run a bath for a baby, you never put your foot, you always put your elbow because this area here is like one of the most sensitive areas. Also, if you ever want to test a new facial product, don't test it on your face. Test it here first to see if you have an allergic reaction. This is like one of the most sensitive parts of your body.
Damn, you dropping a lot of gems right now. I hope the brothers are taking notes, man. I sure am. Himalayan sea salt. I'm going to give me some lavender, some frankincense. Run the bath water. Make sure it's not too hot. Test with my elbow.
Right.
I could go to a hotel or telly if I don't have a bathtub in the crib. Okay. I might be hitting me some baths. I might.
Everyone should be taking baths at least once a month, a minimum. Schedule it.
And you feel like that's healing for the body?
That is.
Okay.
Your body does need to be submerged in water. Skin is our largest organ. How are we really purifying and cleansing our skin if we're not soaking it?
Somebody will argue that, well, I'm washing with soap.
Are you washing your whole back by yourself?
I ain't gonna lie. I be trying to get to my back, but these
You want to play
These shoulders.
like Plastic Man? Exactly. You want to put yourself in a compromising position. Well, no, just soak.
these shoulders ain't doing what they used to.
And you don't have to stay in the tub for long. If you stay for 10 minutes, close your eyes for 10 minutes and just sit. Honestly,
No music, just chill.
if
Sit still.
if you can do no music, I would try no music.
Okay.
Because in my own personal experience, whenever I'm connected with water, I can hear my thoughts more clearly, and more of my creativity comes out when I'm in the water.
Really?
When I'm in the shower, I have a lot of thoughts. I can think about a lot of things.
So Rev Run was onto something.
He said that?
No, because Rev Run, at the end of the
Oh, with the show. Yes.
he was always in the on his
In the
phone.
tub. I'm telling you. I have so many downloads when I'm anytime I'm in water. I live near water on purpose so that I can go out and walk and see it and think on purpose.
Man, you've been giving us a lot of gems.
I hope y'all use it. Like
Yeah.
y'all are so amazing. Remember when you wrote that post and I was like, y'all don't even know how dope y'all are. And I need y'all to understand that for the majority of women who truly love and care about you, we know how dope you are. We don't expect you to be perfect, but we do expect you to want to grow. And we want you to acknowledge things. One of the things I noticed with a lot of men is they have a hard time taking accountability.
You know what's so funny? I see a lot of men saying women have a hard time taking accountability.
Oh, they do too.
Yeah.
They do too. It's because what is it saying? It's easier to point a finger like this to somebody else. It's only one finger, but then you have these other 3-4 fingers pointing right back at you. So I think it's easier to say, hey, you should do this, and this. And self-awareness and introspective work is not taught to us. So, like I said, unless something happens that teaches you to do that, you won't do it.
Right.
Which is why I tell people all the time, you should just go to therapy or for GP. I don't care if you don't think there's nothing you have to discuss, if there's no problem. It will help you to become more self-aware about who you are.
Right. I always tell people that too. Like, there's a lot of people that, like, well, I don't think there's anything wrong with me, so I don't think I need therapy.
So
when people tell me,
better.
yeah, when people tell me that, I'm like, you definitely
should go.
You, sir, definitely need it. If you don't think anything's wrong with you, that means you are not aware of what's wrong
with you. Right.
Right.
You
need it for sure.
You should know your biases. You should know your limitations. You should know your shortcomings, especially in a relationship. Like, I know if I'm worked up on something, I literally yesterday, I literally apologized to my man because I just dumped something on him. And I did it in text message, but I didn't give the whole context about, and he was like, you worrying again? And I'm like, yeah, I am. Let me tell you what happened that brought me to this, and I'm sorry for doing this way. And then I explained everything to him. And I just gave him his time to cool off because I knew he wasn't feeling me. But you need to be able to know that about yourself. And a lot of people don't have comfort with being honest. Like, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm a loud talker. I'm not screaming at you. I just talk loud. I'm not deaf. I tested my hearing. I just talk loud. I grew up in a house with 4 other girls, and I was the youngest. So if you didn't project your voice, you're not going to get heard. So know what your shortcomings are, so that way you can be honest with yourself, and you won't have to deal with the conflict in a relationship with somebody pointed out to you. If for me, it's better for me to be that way, because then if there's really a conflict, I'll be like, well, Sonny 1, you 15, because I'm giving my best.
Man, that reminds me of earlier in the conversation. I love when podcast conversations come full circle. Early in the conversation, you were talking about us sitting down and understanding our needs so that we can communicate it with our partners. But also, we need to sit down and understand who we are so that we can also communicate that. Right? So we know what that is. Man, I want to make sure that people are aware. On September 23rd, we are teaching the How to Find a Dope Black Therapist webinar. You talked about therapy. Obviously, that's a solution that men can invest in to make sure that they can get to a space where they can communicate those things in a relationship. So if you are a black man or even a black woman, it's not only for black men, and you're looking to find a therapist, you're trying to figure out how to find a dope one, we are doing the webinar. It's completely free. And then even at the end of the webinar, we'll give you an opportunity to connect with one of the safe haven healers that we have in our platform so that you can start your own session. So tap in. It's then going to be in the link in our bio on IG. It'll also be in the description of this podcast. And if you're not on Instagram or can't find it for some reason, you can always go to expressyourselfblackman.com/links. One of the things that I wanted to talk about was the fact that a lot of times, like when we get into these relationships and we're not aware of what our needs are, it makes it very hard for us to kind of like navigate that relationship, because now we're not really sure who we are, and we don't really know what we should be asking for, or we don't think that we should be asking for anything. You know what I'm saying? And so it just becomes very, very, very difficult. And I realize, like, a lot of us as black men, we end up depressed. Like, a lot of the black men I talk to that like have gone through depression, they've gone through depression because of a breakup or a divorce. Like, we get depressed. I don't have numbers to back this. I'll preface it with saying that. But I know from personal experience and the conversations I've had with a multitude of black men that a lot of black men get depressed due to relationships not working out.
Yep.
And one of the main reasons I see why a lot of black men in relationships, like why those relationships don't work out, is because we don't be knowing who we are. We don't know who our partners are. We don't know what we're expecting from them. None of those things are aligning. And it's so interesting, man. I was talking to my mom, and my mom, I love my mom to death, but she has some character flaws for a fact. But one of the things that I love about my mom, and I've had to learn to love this about her, is that she is so cognizant of what her flaws are. And my pops is also cognizant. And they know and they're comfortable with this. So it works. You get what I'm saying? Yep. Whereas for me, I'm like, I couldn't do that.
Tolerate that.
Fuck no. I can't do that. You know what I'm saying? But her, she's like, nope, I know this is how I am. I'm comfortable with it. This is who I am. Your father knows it. He's comfortable with it. My pops will be right there. He's chilling. And I'm like, yo.
How does that bother you? How does that not bother you?
You know what I'm saying? And he's good. You feel me? But and they've been married for over 20 some years, from about to celebrate the anniversary this year. This month. And I'm realizing, like, yo, son, there's so much to learn from them, right? Like, I feel like a lot of times we highlight all of the things that are wrong with our parents and what they didn't do right and all these different, but bro, there's a lot that they did do right. They're still together, so there's obviously a reason why. And I realized, like, it works because they truly know who they are.
And they can make that work.
And they make it work. They're comfortable with it. You feel me? So it's just so interesting to see that, because I think we have to get to a point where we know who we are, we're comfortable with it, and then also we can communicate it with our partners, and then they're comfortable with it, and then, you feel me?
But that dialogue has to take place internally first. I honestly don't have a lot of experience working with men outside of New York and New Jersey. But I personally believe that there's a huge amount of men in our city and in New Jersey and other urban areas who have experienced depression that would probably be diagnosed as a depressive episode while growing up because of our environments. So I think that for the most part, we're already very sad.
Yo, you know what that, yeah, go
And
ahead.
when we enter the relationship, we become happy. If you fall in love, you become extremely happy. And then if that relationship ends, it's now another level of sadness. There's grief from the loss of the relationship. There's sadness about maybe failure. You miss the person. There's heartache, which is really a physical and emotional thing. We know that it's true that you have a broken heart. You feel sick. So now this depression now returns again because of the relationship ending. So I think that many of us, especially the men, are already coming into the relationship with experiences of depression. And they're just not cognizant, aware of it because it was called growing up in the hood.
Man, you know what that just reminded me of? When I was younger, I talked about this before. I got bullied a lot. Like every day, somebody was talking about my skin.
What?
Nah, yeah, people was, oh my God.
I didn't know that. I'm
Yo,
sorry.
brutal.
I wish you was my little brother because I would have kicked their ass.
No, listen, man. So I got bullied a lot. And it got to the point where I actually do remember, you really unlocked that for me. I was depressed as a child. Like not for super long periods of time.
Yeah, but
I was depressed because I'm like, yo, bro, I'm going to school. I just want to chill. And these people keep talking about my damn skin color, bro. And it's annoying because I just want to relax. You know what I'm saying? And I don't have like the coolest clothes. I don't have at that time fit as we're in. You know what I'm saying? I don't have fit. I don't got any of that stuff. I got what my parents can afford to put on my back. And that's it. And so it was tough. And I remember when I got to preteen, teens, and I'm finally able to, start being in relationships or thinking that I can date and all that kind of stuff. And I finally find somebody. So now, of course, like you said, I get to the happy stage. And I'm happy with this person, happy we fall in love, we're doing our thing, we grow, teenage years, we develop with each other. And then we get to college and now you go through those transitions again and then the thing didn't end up working out. So now it spiraled me all the way back down, not to being sad anymore, to now depressed, but like super depressed.
Below the original mark.
Yo, way below the original mark because now I was having suicidal ideations. I don't want to be here, all that kind of stuff. But if I take it even before that, which now that I'm doing the introspection, I've never really done that before. I was depressed before the relationship. Because even while I was trying to date and figure things out, I was fake depressed because I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna find somebody.
That's why the breakup is so intense. The magnitude of it is so intense for the person because 9 times out of 10 they were already depressed and so they didn't have anything. They didn't have the hope to find someone most times. So most times when they find this person, it's like, oh my gosh, thank you for picking me and for being and
hit
choosing
the lottery.
me. And this is great. And now all of my happiness is wrapped up into this person. And then when they leave, my happiness is gone. But now, how am I going to ever find that again? It was almost impossible to find it before.
Oh my God. Oh my God. That's crazy. That is so crazy. I'm gonna be in the car on the way home today, and I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna really be thinking about that. Like, that's a real thing. And you know what's so real too? A lot of times we'll be in relationships and because of that underlying belief that it was so hard to find this person, we will deal with and tolerate whatever we have to.
Even if it's not, if you shouldn't.
Even if we shouldn't, even if it isn't conducive to our well-being, because the underlying belief is, I'll never be able to find this again.
Yep.
Jesus Christ. My Lord and Savior, please come and help us. I am trying. Look.
You doing. You're not trying. You're
Listen.
doing.
Oh,
Always
my.
say you're doing. Don't say you're trying.
You're absolutely right. I appreciate the reframing. Oh, my Lord. This has been a really good conversation. I got to meditate on some of these things. I got to really think about some of these things and journal. And I hope it's been helpful for some of the folks that have been listening. One thing I want to ask you before we depart is, can you give me a really good success story? Somebody that you work with that was going through some things and you helped them on the other, helped them through that.
Yep. So first and foremost, I just want to say thanks for having me. It's
Of course.
a pleasure.
Of course.
I love all of my clients. Like in school, you are taught these theories and these interventions, and they're taught from very Eurocentric perspectives. But I wouldn't be me if I didn't make it my own.
Right.
So one of the things that I've always prayed for is that for my clients, that they never feel alone. Because when my mom died, there was a very long period of my life that even though I have an amazing stepmother and amazing godmother, that I felt alone. I'm the only child of my mother and my father. I have older siblings and a younger brother, but I always felt alone. And so one of the core values and my mission, like for me as a person, and even as a therapist, is that when I come into contact with people, that they feel my energy and they feel love through me. But I want my clients to always feel loved and know that even if they feel alone, they know Sunny loves me and I got her, even if I don't have my family. And I had a client who had a very, very, very unhealthy, negative family upbringing. Father was in jail basically the entire life. Mother, very, very, very negative. They grew up in the projects, extremely aggressive. Everybody just basically yelled and screamed and cursed and were cutthroat, right? Instead of being like connected, it was always divisive. Like, I'm trying to see how I could get you, use you, manipulate you, even if you're my daughter or you're my sister, It took time for this person not only to come to therapy, because there were multiple attempts to reach out. And on the third attempt, I was like, look, that's it. I'm going to give you this information. I'm going to send you the link to make your client portal. And if you don't do it, don't call me no more, because this is the third time. But they weren't ready. Eventually, third time it went through. This person got enough self-awareness to begin to recognize that they inherited a lot of the defensiveness and the aggression and the anger and mean behaviors from their family, and that they wanted to kind of like start to relinquish it and shed it. First, they were able to physically move away, which is paramount, because a lot of times people, their families hold them hostage. A lot of times people don't want to let go of roles that they inherit from the family. They don't know who they are without their trauma sometimes. Eventually, they started to work on their body. I don't like the way this looks. I want to exercise. I want to eat healthy. I want to lose weight. I want to fix my teeth. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to travel. I want to see the world. I want to go back to school. I want to get a career. I'm not supposed to have favorite clients, but this is one of my favorite stories because this person literally like just blossomed once they really did the work. I would give homework assignments. They always did the journals. I have some clients and they're like, I think you're going to fire me from therapy because I didn't do my homework, Miss Sunny. Like, I might not fire you, but I'm going to put you on a timeout if you're not doing. You have to do your reflective work. 1 hour a week is not enough when there's 168 hours in a week. So this person was fully immersed and committed to the change and the growth. And oh my God, like, I can't wait to tell you stuff. Like, I wrote all of these things down. And I'm like, okay, well, just lay it on me. But they weren't afraid. And to see, like, their growth, to go to their graduations and to see, like, you went from this angry, I call it Ange, angry Negro girl. You went from Ange to like this wonderful, kind, smiling, vibrant person, always giving positive energy and sharing things with other people. I'm like, this is so beautiful. Like, as somebody who hasn't birthed any children, these are the things that make me so, I'm like a proud mother. Like, I'm crying, oh my God, that's yes, going at the graduations and things like that. And I'm just like, this is really where the change, I get to see the contribution that I made, because there's a saying that was created by my spiritual mother, Queen Afua, which is, heal a woman, you heal a nation. And that's why I do put a lot of responsibility on women clients, because they have to understand, like, we're the ones who give birth. So whatever schemas and things that we have, we imprint them to our kids, especially our sons. So as mothers, we should be raising sons that we want to be husbands for our peers' daughters. So if we want to be able to do that to the best of our ability, we have to do our own internal work to be our best selves.
Yo, you are giving me a lot of revelations right now.
And she really embodies that. Like, I can't wait for her to get to the stage in life where she finds the right partner and she's ready to have children, because I know her kids are going to be so healthy emotionally because she works through so many things. I don't want to talk about my father, but we're going to do this work about him, because I can't keep letting him hold space here if I'm not addressing it. It's only hurting me. I'm like, all right, you ready? I'm ready. Whenever you're ready to scratch. I'm the dentist. I'm the oral surgeon. Therapy's the root canal. Let's go. Let's get in there. So whenever you're ready to do it, I'm ready to do it. But she always never backs down from the challenges.
I love that. Oh my Lord Jesus. I didn't know the story was going to be that good. Oh, well, if that ain't motivate you to go and find you a dope black therapist, I don't know what will. If you're interested, again, we were teaching that webinar September 23rd. We are going to help you find a therapist. It may not be as dope as Sunny, but they're going to be dope, okay? They're going to be dope for sure. So please tap in. The link is in our bio. It's going to be in the description. It's going to be on the website, expressyourselfblackman.com/links. We'll take you through the whole process. And then at the end of the webinar, you'll be able to connect with one of our safe haven healers who we personally vet to make sure that they can help you. One of the revelations that you just gave me, oh my Lord, you said that mothers imprint, especially on their sons.
Absolutely.
My dad has been in Ghana for like the last month and some change. And I've been spending a lot of time just talking with my mom. And I look like my dad. My mom is light skinned. People would not even believe that. If I walk down the street with my mom, people wouldn't think that's my mom.
Mother.
Because I look nothing like my mom. I got all of my facial features, everything. I look like my pops. But that means that my temperament, I had to have getting something from something.
That's where it comes from.
My temperament is from my mom. I get a lot of my temperament from my mom. And I realized that in conversations with her, I was talking with her, we did like renovations on the kitchen, right? And she sits in the kitchen and she tells me the same story every single time. My mom will tell me all of the parts in the kitchen that weren't renovated properly. And she'll go through each detail, tell you why it's wrong, why it bothers her, and she'll do this every time. And I just give her the space to do it. And the reason why I do that is because I understand wholeheartedly why she's like that. Because I'm the same way with my business. It's attention to and before I even said attention to detail, she'll say it. I'm like, where the fuck did...
And you see yourself in her.
I'm like, you know the Spider-Man meme where they be like,
yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute. I said, oh, I get that from you. Bro, my mom, the attention to detail, bro. She took like certain things that I didn't even peep. She's showing me. I'm like, oh, okay, I see why you be tight now. You get what I'm saying?
Epigenetic DNA. DNA has an imprint, so she can pass along good things to you and bad things to you. Bro,
my mom has passed so much of her temperament to me. So much of her temperament to me. I realized I have so much of my mom, and I used to grow up thinking, man, that's just my mom. You know what I'm saying? She just pushed me out. You know, I look exactly like my dad. I'm just like my dad. Oh, hell no. I'm not like that man.
Plot twist.
I love my dad to death, but there's certain things about my pops that I just don't have. My pops is very soft-spoken. He'll sit in a room and one of the things I love about my pops is that he can tell you something without telling you it.
Mm-hmm.
He can
give you a message.
He can
be calm.
Yes, he can speak around something and you will wholeheartedly understand him, but he hasn't said
it directly.
Oh my God. It is a skill. It's a skill. I don't have that. When I'm talking to people, I'm gonna tell you straight up.
That's
like, yo,
wisdom.
bro. I'm like, yo, bro, you want some bullshit, bro. You want some bullshit right now, bro. That's all I got for you. I can't speak around this for you. I've had to develop that. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's my mom. You know, like I'm like you said, how you project your voice, I project as well. My dad's not necessarily like that. I don't think I've heard my dad yell. Like, I don't really hear my pops yell. Mm-hmm. Unless we were younger and we were doing something crazy.
That you shouldn't be doing.
Exactly, right? Or he's trying to wake us up in the morning, but he don't really be yelling. So when I think about myself and why I yell when I'm passionate, I'm like, that's my mom. Mm-hmm. And so I've been realizing this in the period that I've been spending with my mom, my pops not being in the crib, just having conversations with her. I'm like, yo, I'm more like you than I realized. So when you said that, like your mother's imprint on her sons, I'm like, yo, that's facts. Because I've got a lot of my mom's temperament.
Because you're with them for 9 months.
Yo.
So all of those things that they're feeling, you're getting that for 9 months.
Oh my Lord Jesus.
That's why women have to be very careful. They can give their children anxiety. They can, if women are depressed during their pregnancy, they can make their kids predisposed to depression. So think about it. If you were a single teenage mom and you got pregnant at 18, 19, 20 years old and you grew up in the hood, you were probably anxious and depressed and fearful and everything else. And that's in your womb. You're carrying that.
But also, how important is it for us as men to make sure that the environment is conducive and healthy for her while she's pregnant?
It's very important.
Yeah,
but some men are not, they're not even remotely aware or even attuned to thinking that they should have any responsibility in helping to make the environment calm and peaceful during the pregnancy. And I literally always say, so if something was to happen to her while she was pregnant, because you weren't providing a safe enough environment for her, whether it's emotionally safe, financially safe, physically safe, would you feel responsible? How would you feel? If your pregnant wife, girlfriend goes to the hospital because she has pains, because of some type of discord between you guys, that shouldn't be the case. I honestly, and this is something that in my friend circle, we've talked about, and I even talked about it recently with my stepmom, that I have so many amazing friends who are mothers. And out of all of them, I only have one who said that her kid's father was not like a jackass during her pregnancy. This is a huge problem. And I'll be very transparent. That is probably one of the reasons why I never wanted to have children. Because I didn't want to deal with a man who was not going to make sure that I would have a peaceful environment during my pregnancy. And it's not until my current man that I found that. And now that's why I'm open to the process. Because I know that he can give that.
What's that song? They be like, thank you for my man.
my man. But it's the truth. Like, I don't know only one out of all of my friends. And honestly, this friend is a therapist. So it could very well be that she taught her man how to be that way for her so that she could be in a space where her pregnancy was peaceful and calm. But I don't have any friends, any relatives, cousins that have told me that they haven't had a lot of strife during the pregnancy outside of the normal, like, unexpected hormonal imbalance. So men, y'all have to do better with caring for the women while they are carrying your child, because all of that energy is directly received to the child. And who wants to give their that's one of the first gifts that you're going to give your kid before they even take a breath of air.
We gotta listen. Wolf, how much time we got? I know we running.
Oh, we good.
We good? Okay. All right. Listen, I don't want to. I was about to end the pod, but I do not want to end the pod on that note. We are solution oriented here.
Okay, I like that. Yes.
One of the things that I pride myself on is being solution oriented. I never want to bring up a problem and not bring up solutions. So we've brought up a very important problem here, which is men not knowing how to create an environment that's conducive to childbearing, raising a child, bringing a child into the world, not knowing how to take care of their partners when they're pregnant. What are some of the things that we can do, right, to help make that space more welcoming and safe and healthy for our partners?
Okay.
What are some of the things that you would recommend?
First, I would recommend just being honest with yourself about your feelings. Because the same way that the mom is having a myriad of feelings, many times the dad is having those feelings as well.
Facts.
They are scared, but they're not able to own that they're afraid. So that's one of those 50-11 tabs that's open. Oh, I'm going to have this baby. Am I going to have enough money to take care of this baby? Where are we going to live? Am I going to run out of clothes? Like all of these things. My life is going to change. Just be honest with yourself that you're feeling afraid, that you're feeling happy, but you're still scared. Then be honest with the mom about the feelings, because believe it or not, feelings are projected. So if you're feeling that, more than likely you're behaving and it's coming out in some way, shape, or form. And it may not be coming out as though it's fear. It may be coming out as defensiveness or difficulty getting along, difficulty communicating. Men shut down. I think men shut down way more than women. So men just tap out. They dissociate. They stop talking. Some of them have never even started talking, but that's a whole nother podcast. But talk to your woman and tell her about your concerns. She's afraid too. Guess what? She's even probably more afraid than you, because she has to now change her whole lifestyle and her whole strategy of living because the baby lives with her. So a man could be afraid for money purposes and he could pick up extra hours or go get another job. Woman can't do that because she's tired. So talk to one another after you talk to yourself and admit what you're feeling. Ask questions. What can I do? Am I helping to make this easier for you? How can I make this easier for you? Is there anything that you need? Be mindful of the importance of compassion. When women are pregnant, they're very tired. It's very taxing on their body. Not just their body, their minds. You guys know pregnancy brain is a real thing. Women forget things. My best friend is pregnant right now. I've told her I was going on the podcast since we set the date. I told her 4 times I spoke to her today. She called during the podcast.
Oh, that was a call?
Pregnancy brain is real.
Yo.
So be compassionate. Understand that they're not going to always remember things. Understand that their hormones are raging. And sometimes it's really difficult to process that. You know, speak to your mothers. If you have your mother in your life, if their mother's in your life, speak to your sisters, women who were pregnant, and ask them, what was some of the things that were very helpful for you during your pregnancy? What were the things that were least helpful for you? What do you think that I could do? Let your woman know that she's beautiful. Women's bodies are changing. Women, there's so many conditions. We talk about fear. That was one of my fears. Oh my gosh, my neck is going to turn all black. My nose is going to spread. I'm going to get these rashy skin. I love my skin. I don't want to get that. Women are going through these changes in their body and they're not feeling good about themselves. let them know that they're beautiful. Massage their feet. Their feet are swollen. They look like Vienna sausages on crack. It's just so much. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not prepared. I learned about this thing. What was it? Lightning something, and it's like pains in your uterus. Oh, it's so much. It's very frightening. Even for me, that's why I'm slowly getting there. I'm glad my best friend is going first too, so she could prepare me. But you need to talk and you need to ask questions. How can I be? What are our parenting skills going to be? Like, what are our styles? Fathers could do parenting classes. I'm a Gottman therapist, and I do a training called Bringing the Baby Home. And it teaches the couple how to prepare for the baby's arrival while staying a couple and not focusing on just being a parent. Because most times in my experience, the man is thinking about becoming the father, the woman is thinking about becoming the mother, but they're not thinking about how they gonna stay connected as the couple. And for the baby to have the best benefits, they should be together. And they should be strengthening their bond. So what are you doing to prioritize the relationship? Not just prioritizing your new identity of a dad or a mom.
Oh, my Lord Jesus. Man, that's a lot.
It is. That's why you need a therapist for that. It's a life transition. We go to therapy for life transitions.
Listen, I'm going to go ahead and give them this promo one more time. If y'all not tired of hearing it, y'all should be at this point, but I'm going to say it again. September 23rd. 6 p.m. We are teaching a free webinar on how to find a dope Black therapist. If you are going through a life transition, even if you're not going through a transition, if you're not self-aware, you're not sure what's going on in your life, you need somebody to talk to, you need a professional to run things by, you need to be in therapy, right? We're going to teach you how to find a dope Black therapist that can relate to you, that can help you with the things that you're going through. It's going to be absolutely free. All you need to do is register. The link is in our bio on IG. It's going to be in the description of the podcast, and it's going to be on expressyourselfblackman.com/links. One of the questions I always get, do I have to be a Black man to attend? No. You don't have to be a Black man to attend, right? You can pull up. You can share it with somebody else. You can come, take notes. You know what I'm saying? You do not have to be a Black man to attend. We will be connecting Black men only, though, and at the end of the webinar with Black mental health professionals in Safe Haven. So please come through. This is one of our most requested webinars, one of the highly engaged webinars. We always get a lot of people that pull up. So definitely secure your spot. Do not miss it. Don't play. I don't know if there's going to be a recording available. That's another question I get as well. We'll figure that out. But yes, pull up and get you some of this work because man, I'm sitting here listening to you right now. I'm like, you know what? Baby sound good at like 30, 32 or something like that. But now I'm listening to you, I don't know, maybe 34, 35, 36. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that I haven't really thought about. It's a lot of stuff I haven't thought about. And I'm here thinking, oh, you're emotionally intelligent. You'll figure it out. But I'm like, damn, I got to do that. Man. One of the things we can't even, I don't know if we can get into that right now. Ty sent me a post about postpartum depression in men.
Okay.
That's
real.
Yeah. I was talking to my girl and we were talking about how mothers just end up doing more just in general. And that's hearing that shit was making me depressed. And I didn't even have a child yet. We don't even have kids. We're not even there yet. And I was getting depressed already just hearing about the fact that the idea is that I'm going to be doing less just because I'm a dad. That shit made me depressed. So I can't even imagine having a child. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of stuff I got to work.
Becoming depressed behind it.
Bro, I was like, bruh. So postpartum depression in men is very real.
It is.
I think it's
very
actually
common.
I think it's really high. I think it's actually higher than
it's just not diagnosed. That's all it is.
It's because we don't talk about it. And then also we can't talk about it because everybody prioritizes the mother, rightfully so. You just gave life.
Right.
You know, you just gave birth. So as a man, you're going through this period in your life where it's like you already don't prioritize yourself before this. You're now like deprioritized even more because you have this child, you have the mother that's going through all of these changes. How what are we supposed to do? Like how do we navigate that?
That's where parenting classes are very important and preparing for a baby's arrival.
Okay.
Before the baby's arrival are very important. That's why I don't care if anybody says that they don't have any issues, they don't need to go to therapy for. This is the same if a student says to me, Miss, I don't need tutoring. I'm a B student. Well, you could be an A+ student if you went to tutoring. So if you're good without therapy, go now so you could be great by the time you have a baby. And if you're expecting at some point any type of transition in life, start to go now to prepare those skills. So let's say you go to therapy way before you work through a lot of things about navigating your depressed mood. For instance, I think everybody should know their own personal indicators for their depressed mood.
Ooh.
I know mine's. It is, I want to listen to Mary J. Blige, what's the 411 album, and I want to listen to Faith's album and Mary J. Blige's second album. If I'm listening to those albums, I have a depressed mood. Because I don't have an affinity to listen to R&B. In my head, I'm a rapper. Okay? I grew up selling cocaine while I was walking to high school in my head, okay? Before I hit Andrew Jackson, I was already with Freeway Rick Ross, number 3 in my head, right?
You're slinging that dope.
With some yayo. So I know if I'm listening to Mary J. Blige, something is not right and you're not paying attention to it. You need to sit down and figure out what's going on. I think in my experience with men that I've seen just in dating in general, one of their indicators is their room and how they keep their room. If they are a tidy person, but now there's clothes for the whole week on the floor, that isn't usually an indicator that there's something processing and there's a blockage. They're not moving. Right? Also, consumption of alcohol and weed. Are you doing this daily? Is your intake increasing? Is there something else going on? What are you watching? Are you prone to watch more violent things during depressed moods? Or are you more prone to have a propensity to watching comedy? Right? I think everybody should know their indicators for their depressed mood. Your food is directly related to your mood. What are you eating? And how often are you eating? Are you a person who never really eats in the middle of the night, or now you're snacking? Are you sleeping through the night and you normally wake up, or do you wake up and now you're not waking up? Like, because there are men who sleep all the way through the night, and there are men who wake up normally. So when you wake up, are you waking up because you can't sleep because 5011 tabs are open? What's in the tabs? So we need to know what our depression indicators are for our depressed mood. So that way we can start to identify plans of action so that when these moods arrive and we know that we're in them, we can take the precautions. Some people like to be distracted. Like if I have a depressed mood, I need to be distracted. I know who I need to call to take me outside and to do something until I'm ready to deal with my issue.
Right.
Some people need to isolate, but some people should not isolate for too long.
Right.
So you should have a person that you could call, and I don't care if you can make a code number, pineapples for all those other things. Make a code name, a code number for when you have a depressed mood. Call your friend, send a text message, blue. I don't know. Come up with something. Know these things about yourself way before you even start entertaining an idea of being responsible for another human being. Master being responsible for yourself first.
Man, you know what my indicator is for a depressed mood? I get very tired and I don't want to do anything.
Sleepy.
I don't want to do anything. Everything seems like so much
Unmotivated.
more than it should be. You know what I'm saying? Like some of the things I used to do easily, I'm just like, bro, oh God, I gotta do that? Fuck no.
Because it seems like it's overwhelming. The energy source, your energy reserve is lower when you have a depressed mood. So a task that's probably minimal when you are at your highest functioning peak or point is probably going to take so much more energy. So the thought of it is overwhelming.
Yes.
And you're unmotivated and you
Yes.
want to sleep. And most people, when they are depressed and they have a depressed mood, they want to sleep.
Yes.
I don't have that ability. I wish I did.
Yeah, I'll be on.
That's why I have to be distracted. I have to move
Mm-hmm.
because that's just not I have so much energy regularly that that's not it for me. I'd have to take something to go to sleep.
Oh my Lord. This conversation has been a masterclass. I ain't gonna lie. We had a script.
We did.
We had a script. I'm so glad that I just decided to leave it as a script and just we had a conversation.
Yeah, because I don't think all of this other stuff would have come out.
No. And the thing
And
is,
they were good questions.
They were great questions. They were great questions for sure. But the questions, and this is just some podcast game for anybody doing podcasts. When you script out your podcast, don't rely on the script. When you have a guest that's giving energy like you, and that's the conversation is flowing, fuck the script. Like honestly, I put the script there just so I have something that I
Like
can
an outline.
Exactly. Just to get the conversation started. But when we got a lit guest, we don't need the script. We going off script. You feel me? So listen, Sonny, this has been a time. I always love podcast episodes where I genuinely learn something about myself. And I learned some things today, man. I'm going to go back and I'm going to have a nice still moment with myself in the car. I'm going to really think through some of the things we talked about today. This is a classic.
Thank you. I'm grateful to have been here and to be able to contribute.
No, you and contribute you did. And contribute you did. So please tell the people where they can find you, how they can tap in, all the good stuff, what you got going on, all that.
Okay, so social media. My social media handle is The People's Therapist. So it's plural, The People's Therapist. My name is Sunny Borden. My website is thepeoplestherapist.com. And there's also Thrive MHC because I do have a private practice and that's where I see clients. More importantly, what I want to share and leave with the guests of Express Yourself Black Men is that I have a group for women, a virtual support group that is psychoeducational based. So while we can't do individual group therapy in this group, it's very therapeutic and it's very beneficial and it covers a lot and it overlaps with a lot of the things that we talked about today. So for men who are really ready to take the step and explore therapy, if you have a partner who should be exposed to thoughts like this and like-minded women, send them over to my group.
Yes.
The group is called This Woman's Worth, and we're here to really validate our worth and step into our divine feminine essence so that we can accompany and support our men.
I love it. How do they get access to the group?
Go to my website, The People's Therapist, or thrivemhc.com. Or you can click the link in my bio from Instagram.
I ain't gonna lie, there's a lot of women that watch the episodes. A lot of women consume podcasts like nothing. All right, podcasts for women are like, I don't know what the hell y'all be doing.
My mom is the one who put me on a podcast.
Yo, women, y'all be doing, you know what? I watch my girl and she'll be doing her hair. There's a podcast on. She's in the shower. There's a podcast on. Y'all listen to podcasts like they, you know what I'm saying? Like
My
yo.
mom always, there's a new podcast. I'm like, Ma, I don't have no more storage. I'm not paying any more storage on my phone. I can't put anything else on.
Yo,
Just
listen.
send me the YouTube link or something, please.
I ain't gonna lie, we grateful though. Keep listening to this damn podcast. Subscribe, review it if you enjoyed the conversation, and tap in with Sunny and all the dope work that she's doing. And again, the free webinar on how to find a therapist. We are teaching that on September 23rd at 6 p.m. Tap in, come with your fella, or your partner, whoever it is, and y'all get this game on how to find a black therapist. We'll also connect black men with safe haven healers at the end of the webinar. So that's free. It's the link in our bio on IG. It's going to be in the description, and it's going to be on expressyourselfblackman.com/links. So tap in, Make sure you sign up, you register, you attend, you get some game, and you get connected with some resources that can help you heal. And definitely tap in with Sunny, the People's Therapist, peoplestherapist.com. Get in that group and get right.
Send your women to me. Yes. Send your sisters, your girlfriends, everybody.
Yes. Get right. Sunny, man, it has been a pleasure. This is a classic for sure. Thank you so much for pulling up.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
You know I love you like cook food.
Yes.
Anytime.
I appreciate it. Oh, my Lord. Let's get out of here. Oh, my God. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Express Yourself Black Man podcast. We really hope you gained some valuable insight on things you could do differently with your healing journey and with the black man in your life. If you found value in this episode, please, please, please leave us a review on whatever platform you listen or watch the podcast on. Your review is a free and easy way to support us, and it helps us reach more people like you. We're on a mission to build a stronger, more connected black community, starting with black men. And you can help us on that mission by taking a minute to leave a review. Your review helps us generate more listeners, which in turn generates more revenue, allowing us to expand our platform even further. And speaking of expansion, we're in the middle of that process right now with the Black Man Safe Haven. We're expanding the Safe Haven platform to add more benefits so we can continue to support the demand we've received from this audience. During this time, we've paused enrollment to Safe Haven, but we invite you to sign up for the wait list. Safe Haven is our holistic healing platform where we take the stress out of the healing journey for black men. In Safe Haven, we provide you or the black man you know with access to a black mental health professional so you can finally heal from the things you find it difficult to talk about, and you will receive support from over 200 black men that are all on their healing journey so you don't have to heal alone anymore. You'll also get access to weekly meditations led by wellness experts, support group sessions led by black therapists, a library of over 200 articles geared towards black men's healing, master classes, and more. You can join the Safe Haven waitlist right now by going to www.expressyourselfblackman.com/safe-haven-waitlist or by clicking the link in the description of this podcast episode. Don't wait. Do not wait. We've had hundreds of signups for Safe Haven already, and we'll be opening enrollment soon. Due to capacity, we may not be able to service everyone, so don't hesitate to sign up now to secure your spot or the spot of a black man you know as soon as enrollment opens. Thank you again for listening to the Express Yourself Black Man podcast. We'll be back soon with more dope episodes. And until then, take care of yourself first, then the people around you. Love y'all.
Sometimes I know you feel like you ain't got nobody to speak to. Shoulder to lean on somebody you could preach to. No, you need to hear it, my brother, I love you. We got way too much to live for.